High FM, 101.9 megahertz of life.
And of course, yesterday was a very, very big day. Bafana versus Canada. It was, I don't know. Did we expect Bafana to win? I know we were there, we were behind them, we wanted them to, but I think that was more heart than mind. That said, I am honestly a complete buffoon when it comes to things sport, and I find it hard to pretend otherwise. I do love the World Cup, and I do love the sporting events. I love when South Africa is involved, but I can't claim to be a soccer expert. So let's speak to somebody who actually does know what they're talking about. Trevor Cramer. He is a sports journalist. Trevor, a very good morning. Great to chat to you again. Can you give us a view and a sense of how Bafana played yesterday? We know the result, but was it expected, and did we give it a good shot?
Yeah, and clearly the hours in relation to American time weren't very good for a breakfast anchor, was it, Howard?
No, definitely not.
3 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. So
Exactly.
I can just imagine your dilemma waking up in the morning or just skipping the football, if you want to call it that, being a breakfast anchor.
Absolutely.
But nevertheless, yeah, we woke up at some unearthly hours. We were braced for some very late nights. So it was a pretty good. Started with 12 groups, 48 teams, down to the last 32. That's the history. I was just switching the kettle on last night, Howard, setting in for some extra time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the disappointment hit sadly. It all ended in heartbreak. The 92nd minute for Bafana. Stephen Estaki hit us with a sucker punch, a low volley which beat Ronwin Williams and crept in at the near post in referee's optional time. So clearly Bafana were holding on for that extra time and hoping to go all the way in that manner. Estaqui, just to tell you, he was on loan to the home club, or he's on loan to the home club Los Angeles from Porto in Portugal. So it was a home game in a manner of speaking for him as a Canadian player.
Wow.
But the big thing about this FIFA World Cup, I think, Howard, if we have to put it in a nutshell, notwithstanding the disappointment, because Bafana didn't disappoint. They punched above their weight, and there were very high expectations from the South African public. And I think therein lies a lot of what went down. The expectations were high, but this morning there seems to be more of a sense of pride than anything else. South Africa acquitted themselves well. They did well. And Hugo Broos, as he said at one stage, he said, it'll be like winning the World Cup if we just get out of the group stages. And that's what they did.
Absolutely.
Little accomplishment.
Yeah.
So the big thing with the FIFA World Cup, Howard, is it's a window to world football. And from a Bafana perspective, the eyes were focused on a number of South African players. And the Bafana squad predominantly made up of Sundowns and Orlando Pirates players. So they certainly shone in this instance, and they learnt a lot despite going down to Canada.
What have we gained? I mean, obviously, it's the furthest we've ever gotten in a World Cup. Tell me what you think might be different from now on, if anything.
If anything, Howard, I have to say, Hugo Broos, to a large degree, and we saw it in the players that actually shone in last night's game, he's invested in quite a number of experienced players and blended them with very young players. I mean, there was, as they say, knockout football, it's about taking risks, and we just didn't take enough. But Teko Modise, I think, summed it up. He said, in knockout football, you can't play in patches, and we learnt this. Simply, we were just too overcautious, but definitely not disgraced. That's the positive. Canada were in our faces for 90 minutes. They played direct football, and it was always going to produce a goal. And if anything, I think players like Bekezeli, Mukazi, players like that are going to learn from this. There are players who are only like 20, 21 years old. So, yeah, they're going to learn a hell of a lot from this World Cup. and they're going to go places. And I think if we take another positive, Howard, and it is a very big positive, a record-breaking 9 African teams advanced to the last 32, and that's never happened before,
That's incredible.
despite the extended format. So it's really good for the CAF region. That's the Confederation of African Football. Morocco, South Africa, Ivory Coast, Senegal, Egypt, Ghana, Cape Verde, the DRC, and Algeria all winning through there. But the investment in our youth is a big thing, Howard, if you put it in a nutshell. And there is a future in another World Cup for a lot of the players who actually went down to Canada last night. So that is the essential positive that we can draw out of everything.
So at the end of it, the performance and the result, South Africa actually can hold its head up and should be proud of the guys when they now return to South Africa. Would you agree with that statement?
Disappointed, yes, Howard. Like any football fan, the expectations were high, but certainly not disgraced in any way whatsoever.
Amazing.
They played good football. They advanced to the knockout rounds. Hugo Bruce, despite being called a plumber and all sorts of horrible abuse being hurled at him after that 2-0 defeat by Mexico. He knew what the goal was, and he went ahead and he actually achieved the goal. And last night he said he's not even sure if he's going to retire just yet. So who knows where Hugo Bruce is going. But my biggest thing that I was also keeping an eye on, Howard, I don't know if you were, but the sensational claims bordering on absolute ludicrous that Bafana will win the World Cup. Now, I don't know if you know who I'm speaking about, but
yes.
That man seemed to think he was on the Hollywood stage, Mr. Gaten McKenzie.
It's all very well to be supportive and to be behind our teams, but at the same time, you lose credibility, I think, when you say things that everybody knows. As much as we want it to be different, we know the reality, and I think that is. I do agree with you there. We do need to leave it there. Trevor Cramer, thank you as always. Sports journalist talking about Bafana. Do you agree with Trevor?